Hello, class of 2021, Mr. Mercier here, and I'm just going to be going over some things about prom. This video is going to get delivered to you in an email today that you are going to get all of the information I'm talking about. However, I just want to clarify a few things in the video to hopefully answer any questions you may have. In that email, you're also going to get this prom information sheet, which has pretty much all of the information that you should need, as well as a prom contract that you have to read and sign and turn in when you make your reservation for prom this year. Okay, first of all, prom has been moved back to Thursday, May 27th. We knew that we were going to have prom outdoors due to the health department regulations. So we were hoping that a little bit later in May maybe gives us a little bit nicer weather. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. and it's going to be in our stadium and in the annex area that I'll get to in a second. The cost is $45, and that pretty much just covers the meal and the tent rental. And the school is actually eating some costs this year because it's a little bit cheaper than our normal prom, yet this prom outdoors was actually a little bit more expensive to put on. Okay, so as you can see in my beautiful picture here, you're going to enter and check in the annex area where you would come into a football or a soccer game or a track event through these two entrances. Okay, once there, we have a huge tent as well as some smaller auxiliary tents that are going to house us for our dinner. And the way this works per the health department is during dinner time, we all have to be seated and eating. Okay, we cannot be walking around with food anywhere. We don't want food on the track and on the football field anyway. However, during that specific time, which is located on this information sheet, we will all be seated within that tent eating. Yeah, so the question was, is there a specific dinner time? And the answer to that is yes. Okay, you'll see on this sheet from 6 to 6:30 is our sort of arrival where you can come in, get checked in. I know my map is gone, but you could do the photo booth at that time. And then nobody's allowed in after 6:45 because dinner will start being served at 6:45. And that'll go until roughly 7:45, or it seems like everybody is done. And the reason for that is, again, due to those health guidelines, you cannot be up and moving around during dinner because that's sort of when your masks are off and you're eating and drinking and things like that. So the guidelines are very specific in that you have to stay at your table of 6. There has to be sort of a designated dinner area. And so from 6:45 to 7:45 is that dinner time. And then afterward, there's more of a mingling allowed where we'll have a Kona ice truck and we'll have a open air photo booth. We'll have some yard games just for something to do out there. And we will also have music. Okay, obviously social distancing, mask wearing, things like that are required. So there will be, a little bit of a regulation to the types of dancing we're allowed to do, but we will have music here. We're trying to make this as normal of a prom as we can given the circumstances. Some important dates for you to remember and the way that you're going to reserve your spot for prom. Reservations are going to be held from April 26th through April 28th. So it's a 3-day period where CHS seniors only can come to the student activities office and pay your $45, turn in your prom contract that you'll see in the email, and reserve your spot for prom. The reason we have to reserve your spot is that, again, due to the health order, we are only allowed 300 people maximum in this area. Okay, that includes any adult or caterer, things like that. So we are at a 300 people max. So we are only selling to CHS seniors first. After April 28th, there will be a 2-day period between April 29th and April 30th where we'll have to make a determination as to how many open spots we have left. Okay, and then we will sell to any student who wants to bring a guest. But only after every Churchill senior has had the opportunity to buy a ticket. And those are the first 3 days, or to make a reservation. Okay, so those are important to remember. The first 3 days are for CHS seniors only. So if I'm Kip Dobar holding the camera for me here, and I know that I'm going to prom, and I might want to bring a date, I still buy my reservation the 26th through the 28th. And if we have enough open spots on the 29th and 30th, and Kip gets here in time and buys a guest pass for his date, which is also $45, then he'll be able to bring a guest. But we are limited on how many of those guests or how many of those Churchill students can bring this year. Okay, and there's nothing we can really do about that. This is the best plan we can come up with to allow Churchill seniors, the first crack at attending, and then still allowing some guests to come if we have the room. 300 person max, again, that's not our rule, that is law at this moment. So one question, we've had is, if this number is allowed to be greater than 300 per the health department, would we expand the prom? And the short answer to that is yes. The long answer is we would still be, confined to the amount of space that we have in the tents, etc. But that number, we do have, we did order a large enough tent to fit, more than this amount of people in there, more than 300. However, currently, any outdoor event where there is mingling, like we have, which does allow you to get up and, dance to some music and play games and things like that, is limited to 300 people. So it's very different from like a commencement where we could have 1,000, I think is the number, because people are seated and it's fixed seating. This falls under a totally different set of guidelines because we are allowed to let you get up and move around and mingle is the term that was used. So yes, if that mingling number raises from 300 to, let's say, 350, then yes, we would try to allow up to 350 students. That's a good question. After you reserve your ticket, so you've come in and you've paid and you may or may not have been able to bring a guest, but you have your prom reservation, the following week there will be some sheets sent out for table reservations. Again, due to health code, we can only have 6 people at a table, and these tables have to be spaced out accordingly, etc. So there will be sheets that go out with an entire master list of who has signed up and who has a prom reservation, and from there you can request the 6 people to be at your table. Okay, if you only have a group of 2 or 3 that you're going with, that's perfectly fine, put them down. All that will happen is we will match you with another group of 2 or 3 or 4 as my projector goes out here. Okay, either way, the important dates are 4/26 and then 4/29 to make prom reservations. Any questions, please email me, Mr. Mercier. The email is also in the communication you received today.